Have you ever looked at a habit tracker, maybe on your phone or in a notebook, and felt a sudden, sharp wave of guilt? You know the feeling I'm talking about. You were doing so well. You had 5 days, 10 days, maybe even a whole month of perfect check marks. You were exercising or reading or studying English every single day. You felt unstoppable. You felt like a new person. And then, life happened. One busy Tuesday, one exhausting evening, one morning where you just couldn't get out of bed, and you missed it, just once. And suddenly, that beautiful chain of success was broken, and the voice in your head didn't say, "It's okay, rest is important." No, the voice whispered, "Well, you ruined it. It's over now. Why even bother trying tomorrow?" Hi, my dear friends. Welcome back to Mira's English podcast. Today, I want to have a very honest conversation with you about that voice. I want to talk about why we are so obsessed with being perfect and why that perfectionism is actually the reason we fail. But more importantly, I want to share a simple, forgiving rule that changed my life. It's not about never falling down. It's about how you allow yourself to stand back up. It's called the 2-day rule. Let's settle in. Take a deep breath with me. Before we talk about the solution, we need to understand the trap we are in. In psychology, there is a concept often called the "what the hell" effect. It's a funny name, but the feeling is actually quite painful. It describes that moment when you slip up just a little bit, and instead of correcting course, you decide to give up completely. It's like dropping your phone and getting a tiny scratch on the screen, and then deciding to smash the whole phone on the floor because it's not perfect anymore. It sounds irrational when I say it out loud, doesn't it? But we do this to ourselves all the time with our habits. I remember a few years ago, I decided I wanted to become a runner. I had this romantic image in my head. I would wake up every morning at 6 a.m., lace up my shoes, and run 5 kilometers. I told myself, "Mira, you are going to do this every single day, no excuses." And for the first 2 weeks, I was amazing. I felt disciplined. I felt strong. I looked at my calendar and saw 14 perfect crosses in a row. That streak, that line of uninterrupted success, became my identity. I wasn't just running. I was a person who never misses a day. But streaks are fragile things. They are like a house of cards. The higher you build them, the more terrified you become of them falling. On day 15, it rained. A cold, heavy, miserable rain. And I had a slight headache. I sat on the edge of my bed, looking at my running shoes, and I fought a war in my head. Part of me knew I should rest, but the other part, the part addicted to the streak, screamed that if I missed today, I was a failure. I didn't run that day. And the next morning when I woke up, the sun was shining, the headache was gone. I could have run, but I didn't. Why? Because the streak was gone. The magic number was reset to 0. And starting from 0 felt so heavy, so humiliating, that I just stopped. I didn't run again for 3 months. I lost 3 months of progress not because I couldn't run, but because I couldn't handle the imperfection of missing one day. I wonder if you see yourself in that story. Maybe it wasn't running. Maybe it was learning English. How many times have you downloaded an app, promised yourself you would study for 15 minutes a day, and maintained a 30-day streak? The app congratulates you. The fire emoji lights up. You feel safe. But then, you miss a day. The app sends you a notification. You lost your streak. And instead of motivating you, it makes you feel heavy. You feel like you have to climb the mountain all over again from the bottom. So you close the app and you don't open it for weeks. We have been taught by society, by social media, by the hustle culture, that consistency looks like a straight, unbroken line. We think that discipline means never wavering. We think that if we are truly dedicated, we will perform at 100% every single day until we die. But that is not how humans are designed. We are not robots. We are biological creatures. We have rhythms. We have seasons. We get sick. We get sad. We get tired. We have days where our hearts are just not in it. When we try to force a biological creature into a robotic schedule, we are setting ourselves up for a crash. The problem isn't that you missed a day. The problem is your relationship with missing that day. You view a pause as a termination. You view a stumble as a fall. So how do we fix this? How do we build habits that can survive real life? How do we keep moving forward when we are not perfect? For a long time, I searched for the answer in more discipline. I thought if I just tried harder, if I just hated myself a little more for being lazy, I would finally stick to my goals. But shame is a terrible fuel for long-term growth. Shame burns hot and fast, and then it leaves you exhausted. You cannot hate yourself into a better version of yourself. I realized I needed a system that had compassion built into it. A system that expected me to be human. A system that had room for bad days, for headaches, for rainy mornings, for sudden sadness. And that is when I discovered the concept of the 2-day rule. It wasn't invented by a scientist, although plenty of behavioral scientists support it now. It was popularized by a creator named Matt D'Avella, but the core philosophy goes back much further. It is based on a very simple, gentle agreement with yourself. The rule is this: you are allowed to miss 1 day, but you are never allowed to miss 2 days in a row. Let that sink in for a moment. Never miss 2 days in a row. At first, it sounds almost too simple to be effective. You might be thinking, Mira, how does allowing myself to skip a day help me be more disciplined? But think about the difference in mindset. In the perfect streak mindset, every day is a test you have to pass. If you fail once, the game is over. You carry the weight of all your past successes on your shoulders, terrified of dropping them. In the 2-day rule mindset, you are playing a different game. You are telling yourself, I am committed to this life, but I am also human. If you miss 1 day of speaking English, it's not a failure. It's a planned pause. It's a rest. The chain is not broken. It just has a little breathing room. Your identity as an English learner is safe. You haven't quit. You are just taking a breath. But the 2 days part, that is the safety net. That is the floor that catches you before you fall into the darkness of quitting completely. 1 missed day is an accident. 2 missed days is the beginning of a new habit, a habit of not doing the work. Let's look at why this works so well with our brain chemistry. When we face a task, our brain calculates the activation energy required to do it. If you feel like you must do it perfectly because you are on a 50-day streak, the pressure is enormous. The task feels heavy because it carries the weight of maintaining your ego. But if you give yourself permission to miss a day, you lower the stakes. Imagine it's Tuesday evening. You are exhausted. You promised yourself you would listen to an English podcast for 20 minutes. But your eyes are burning, your body is heavy. Under the old mindset, you would either force yourself to do it and hate every second learning nothing, or you would skip it and go to bed feeling like a failure, dreading Wednesday because you broke the chain. Under the 2-day rule, you have a conversation with yourself. You say, okay, I am really tired today. I am going to use my skip day pass. I will sleep now, guilt-free. But because I am skipping today, that means tomorrow, no matter what happens, no matter how I feel, I must show up. Tomorrow is non-negotiable. Do you see the shift? You trade guilt for responsibility. You go to sleep not feeling like a quitter, but feeling like a manager of your own energy. You rest fully, and because you rested without guilt, you actually have more energy for Wednesday. Wednesday comes. You don't have to decide, should I study? No, the decision was already made yesterday. You used your pass. Today is a must day. This removes decision fatigue. Most of us fail not because we lack willpower, but because we are tired of making decisions. Every day we ask ourselves, should I do it? Do I feel like it? The 2-day rule removes the question on the second day. It creates a hard boundary. It says, we can be flexible, but we cannot be stagnant. I have to admit something to you. When I first started applying this, I was scared. I thought I was just making excuses for being lazy. I thought, if I give myself an option to skip, I will always skip. I didn't trust myself. And maybe you don't trust yourself right now either. Maybe you think that if you give yourself an inch, you will take a mile. You think you need the strict whip of perfectionism to keep moving. But let me tell you what actually happened when I stopped trying to be perfect. I stopped quitting. Before, my habits looked like this: 20 days of perfection, then a crash, then 3 months of nothing, then 10 days of perfection, then a crash, then 2 months of nothing. It was a cycle of boom and bust, intense effort followed by intense burnout. With the 2-day rule, my habits look different. They look messy. If you look at my calendar now, it's not a perfect line of crosses. It's a cross, a blank space. A cross, a blank space. It doesn't look Instagram perfect. It doesn't look like a superhero's calendar. But here is the magic. That calendar goes on for years. It doesn't stop. I haven't had a 3-month crash in a long time because I never let myself get to the point of total burnout. I rest before I break. Consistency is not about intensity. It is about longevity. And you cannot have longevity without forgiveness. This brings me to a concept I want to share with you, called compassionate discipline. We often think discipline means being a strict military general to ourselves. We think we have to scream at ourselves to get things done. Get up, do the work, don't be weak. But ask yourself, does that voice actually help you? Or does it just make you feel small? Compassionate discipline is different. It's like being a good parent to yourself. A good parent doesn't let a child eat candy for dinner every night. That would be neglect. But a good parent also doesn't scream at the child when they scrape their knee and need a moment to cry. The 2-day rule is the embodiment of compassionate discipline. It says, I love you enough to let you rest, but I respect you enough to make sure you don't give up. So, how do we apply this specifically to learning English? Because I know for many of you listening right now, English is a source of constant guilt. You feel like if you don't study for an hour a day, you are falling behind. And when life gets busy, you stop completely because you can't find that perfect hour. Let's use the 2-day rule here, but let's combine it with something else: flexible intensity. Here is the secret. The rule says you cannot miss 2 days, but it doesn't say you have to do the same thing every day. On a high energy day, when you feel motivated, fresh, excited, your English habit might look like this: 30 minutes of studying grammar, 15 minutes of speaking practice, writing a journal entry. That counts as showing up. But then comes a low energy day. You had a fight with your partner. Your boss yelled at you. You have a headache. The old version of you would say, I can't do my 45 minutes of study today, so I will do nothing. And then you would feel guilty. The 2-day rule version of you says, I am not going to break the chain, but I need to be gentle today. So, on a low energy day, showing up might mean listening to one English song while you wash the dishes, watching one 5-minute YouTube video in English with subtitles, or even just reading one single page of a book before you sleep. that counts. Please hear me when I say this, it counts. You kept the habit alive. You kept the neural pathway in your brain open. You told your subconscious mind, even on my worst days, I am still an English learner. This is crucial because the goal of the 2-day rule isn't just to get work done. It is to protect your identity. When you skip 1 day, you are resting. When you skip 2 days, you start to feel like a person who used to learn English. We want to avoid that shift in identity at all costs. There is a tricky character living in your brain. I call him the Negotiator. The Negotiator wakes up on the 2nd day, the day after your rest day, and he tries to make a deal with you. He says, "Hey, we skipped yesterday and nothing bad happened. The world didn't end. We feel pretty good, actually. Why don't we skip today too? Just 1 more day. We will start fresh on Monday. Monday is a better day to start." The Negotiator is very persuasive. He uses logic that sounds like self-care, but it is actually self-sabotage. This is why the 2-day rule must be a hard line. It must be non-negotiable. On that 2nd day, you don't listen to the Negotiator. You don't ask yourself, "Do I feel like it?" You acknowledge that the decision was already made. You owe it to your yesterday self who took a break, and you owe it to your tomorrow self who wants to keep growing. If you let the Negotiator win on the 2nd day, he will show up on the 3rd day with a stronger argument. Well, you already missed 2 days. The streak is dead. You might as well take the whole week off. And suddenly, 2 days becomes 2 months. We stop the slide by catching ourselves at day 2. It is the most important day in the entire process. Day 2 is where the battle is won or lost. I want to touch briefly on physical health because this is where we punish ourselves the most. I have a friend who follows the 2-day rule for the gym. She told me something beautiful. She said, "Jenny, on the days when I really don't want to go, on those must days after a rest day, I lower the bar so low that I can't say no." She calls it the show up and sit down method. If she is dreading the gym, she tells herself, "I will just drive there. I will walk in, do 5 minutes of stretching, and if I still want to leave, I can leave." She gives herself permission to do the bare minimum, but she goes. She keeps the rhythm. And 9 times out of 10, once she is there, once she has started moving, her body wakes up. The energy comes after the action, not before. She ends up doing a full workout, but even on the rare days where she actually leaves after 5 minutes, she still wins because she respected the rule. She didn't miss 2 days. She proved to herself that she is reliable. Do you know what the best feeling in the world is? It isn't winning an award. It isn't getting a promotion. It isn't even speaking English perfectly. The best feeling in the world is self-trust. It is the quiet confidence of knowing that if you make a promise to yourself, you will keep it. When you live by the perfect streak, you don't trust yourself. You are terrified of yourself. You are terrified that one mistake will ruin everything. You are walking on eggshells in your own life. When you live by the 2-day rule, you start to trust yourself again. You learn that you can stumble without falling. You learn that you can be imperfect and still be making progress. You start to realize that you are not a machine that needs to be fixed. You are a garden. A garden doesn't bloom constantly. It has cycles. It has rain. It has sun. Sometimes it looks messy, but if you tend to it consistently, not perfectly, just consistently, it grows. It becomes deep and strong and resilient. Now I know some of you are asking a scary question right now. Jenny, what if I fail the 2-day rule? What if I miss 2 days? What if I miss 3? Do I give up then? This is important, because even with the most forgiving rule in the world, life can still knock us down. Maybe you get the flu. Maybe you have a family crisis. Maybe you just fall into a deep depression and you can't get out of bed for a week. Does the 2-day rule mean you have failed? No. The 2-day rule is a tool for normal life. When exceptional life happens, when things fall apart, we need a different protocol. We need what I call the emergency restart. We often think that once we fall off the wagon leaves without us. We stand in the dirt, watching our habits disappear into the distance, and we think, well, I guess I live here now. But that is an illusion. The wagon is waiting for you. It has always been waiting. So here is the secret to the emergency restart. When you realize you have missed a week or a month, do not look back. Do not calculate how many days you missed. Do not try to make up for lost time by studying for 5 hours straight. That is a punishment, and we are done with punishments. Instead, act like a GPS. When you are driving and you miss a turn, your GPS doesn't scream at you. It doesn't say, "You are a terrible driver. Why did you miss that turn? I am shutting down now." No. It pauses for a second, and then it says one word: recalculating. It calmly finds the next best route from where you are right now. Not from where you should have been, from where you are. That is what you must do. You wake up after a week of doing nothing, and you say to yourself, recalculating. You start again today. You do 5 minutes today. You don't worry about the streak. You just start a new chain. The past is data, not a definition. I want you to imagine looking at your life from far, far away. Imagine looking at a whole year of your life on a giant calendar. If you practice the 2-day rule, your year will be filled with marks. There will be tiny gaps here and there. Maybe a slightly bigger gap in November when you got sick. Maybe a gap in June when you went on vacation. But from a distance, the line looks solid. From a distance, you are a person who showed up. Nobody is going to look at your life in 5 years and say, "Oh, but remember that Tuesday in 2024 when she didn't read her book? What a failure." No, they will look at who you became. They will look at the English you speak, the health you possess, the peace you carry. They will see the result of the 300 days you did show up, not the 65 days you rested. Perfection is a camera trick. It's a filter we put on life to make it look pretty. But consistency? Consistency is the raw footage. It's messy, it's shaky, but it's real. And it's the only thing that actually tells a story. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want to ask you to do something. But I am not going to ask you to promise me you will be perfect. I want you to pick one thing. Just one habit that you have been struggling with. Maybe it is learning English. Maybe it is drinking more water. Maybe it is writing in a journal. And I want you to make a deal with yourself right now. Not a promise to do it every day forever. Just a deal to try the 2-day rule for the next 2 weeks. Give yourself permission to miss a day, but promise yourself you won't miss 2. And if you feel brave enough, I would love to hear from you. Scroll down to the comments section and tell me, what is the habit you are choosing, and are you willing to forgive yourself along the way? Writing it down makes it real, and seeing others write it down makes us feel less alone. Remember, my friends, the goal of life is not to be a robot that never malfunctions. The goal is to be a human who knows how to repair themselves with kindness. Be gentle with your tired days, be firm with your second days, and keep moving forward, imperfectly but honestly. Thank you for letting me be a small part of your routine today. I believe in you, not the perfect version of you, but the real one. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.